Hello everyone, this is Ronnie, and this is the first day after quarantine I've been able to go out. I was meant to stay in the house, and I have stayed in the house, and now I'm out. And did my time, was happy to do it, tested negative for coronavirus, but still had to stay in. And I'm walking around, and I'm seeing what the world's like here back in the UK. In Thailand, when I was leaving, everything was opening up again, everything was pretty opened up. Here, things are still pretty closed, a lot of stuff. Although in Scotland, they've just started opening hairdressers and something else. I'm not sure. Hairdressers and something. Gyms are closed. We do not want people in a gym. Now, uh, tobacconists have remained open, the sale of cigarettes. It doesn't matter there's a respiratory virus and smoking increases your chance of getting it. That doesn't matter. Um, who cares? Who cares about that? So people have been smoking, of course. Alcohol. I think the pubs are open, maybe already. So, but the gyms are closed. And I've been saying this for a while, but I've never been in a place where people socially distance more naturally than in a gym. There's a lot of testosterone around, a lot of competition going on, there's a lot of posing going on. Actually, not too much. Actually, gyms are quite nice places. But there's a perception of that. So people distance. You know, you never go and be on the running machine right beside the person. Actually, people kind of distance from strangers quite naturally all the time, you know. It's only when you're forced. It's only when there's no other running machines that you end up on one. And only healthy people go to the gym. People don't go to the gym when they're experiencing symptoms of illness, you know, because you can't work out. So, I don't know. I really don't understand. It's like a tax on the healthy people. Healthy people go to gyms. Healthy people don't go to pubs. Well, you know, relatively. Healthy people don't smoke cigarettes and have confectionaries and all that. So I don't know. I don't want to talk. I don't want to build this into a rant about coronavirus. I don't feel that negative about it anymore. It's personally affected me really badly. But I don't. Um, I'll talk more about that soon. But personally, I don't feel bad about this situation. I don't feel bad about the world. I don't feel negative about anything. I don't have conspiracy theory ideas as far as I'm concerned. But I do think that the coronavirus as a virus, my personal where I'm at with it is that it wasn't as bad as we originally thought, and that the lockdown measures were disproportionate with the severity of the situation. And the only other thing I'll add to that is I believe that the fact that it wasn't as bad as was first thought, I believe that was worked out quite early on, and the lockdown was continued with regardless. And I don't know if that's because of incompetence. I don't know if that's because of a lack of leadership. But that's just the case, right? And I do think that what really happened and what really has been in control, it's not the conspiracy theories and the Bill Gates of the world. What's been in control is the emotion of the time, the panic that is still prevalent, and the media to a great extent built that up. The medical organisations of the world, the World Health Organization, built that up, and the World Health Organization has still not come out and said that they were wrong. And I'm not sure if we can fund. I don't. I know that Trump's gonna apparently might stop putting money towards the World Health Organization. I think a lot of questions have to be asked of the World Health Organization. The guy that runs it, he's maybe the problem. I don't know. But they came out and recently, in the last few days, they were like, this is still increasing, this is still getting worse, this is still, it's like, give it a rest, stop. 3-4 months ago we knew that this was overblown, you know, and they're still saying it's multiplying. It's, yeah, maybe in certain countries that haven't had it yet or whatever, or certain places, but here in Europe, and I'm not sure what's happening in America, but they're testing 500,000 people a day, and they're wondering why cases are going up. They've ramped up their testing to 500,000 a day, and the cases are going through the roof. Of course they are, but it's not a reflection on symptoms or anything, or deaths. And the other sad thing about this whole thing is I do believe that the death figures have been inflated, and I don't think they did that. Once again, I don't think it was done intentionally necessarily. I think they just didn't know how to accurately count deaths. But there are clear ways that you die from a respiratory illness, and the deaths from COVID is less than the death numbers that we see most likely, because we see deaths from COVID, deaths with COVID, which are deaths where COVID's on the death certificate, or the person's tested positive for COVID. So it's maybe contributed towards deaths. It's maybe accelerated people's deaths, but a lot of these people were going to die very soon. So, and I'm not sure if that's how we usually count like if you say this person died from the flu, does that mean a person that has the flu but has also got underlying conditions and dies from a heart attack or something? So I don't really know. I'm thinking of my friend Robert Lockhart, who died, picked up some bacteria from the soil. His kidneys were damaged, had a heart attack. You know, so what do you call the cause of death? Is it he didn't have heart disease? He couldn't have had heart disease, but he went into kidney failure and cardiac arrest. And so what did he? You know, how do you say what does a person die from? Okay, the bacteria, but then his response to that, dehydrating himself with dry fasting, already having damaged himself with dry fasting. Well, probably dry fasting was maybe the cause of death there. So it's probably hard to work out what's the cause of death. So those are the three main things. I do think it's not as bad as people thought. I believe it's spread more than people think it has. I think that the numbers have been slightly inflated, and I think that the lockdown has been extended due to simply reacting to what the public wanted. The public really bought into lockdown. Many people in the public wanted lockdown and wanted it to continue. And I can sympathise with that. If you're on a contracted job and you have to drive an hour through busy traffic every day to get there, and you don't like it that much anyway, and then all of a sudden someone says you can stay at home and continue to be paid and not do as much work and whatever, or they're not able to do as much work, but they can still do some work maybe. I can understand why people want to stay home. You know, I can totally understand why. There's probably millions of people in that position. Awesome. So people supported it for sure. Not because really they thought it was... Not because they really thought it was the right thing to do maybe, but they were kind of hoping it was because it sounded like a good deal for them. But for a lot of industries and a lot of people it was not a good deal. For a lot of people don't have guaranteed monthly checks from big companies and things like that. So you're relying on an economy being open. So when it closes, it's not really helpful. So yeah, but people bought into it, people liked it, and the mask wearing, people support that. There's no way the government would have enacted that if they didn't know for sure people supported it. People supported mask wearing, and the government went, "Yeah, we're gonna get everyone to wear masks." No, you didn't get it. Like, people were happy to do it. Um, it's just been a weird old time, though. It's been a weird old time. I don't think anything I'm saying is very conspiracy theory-ish, and I think that, like, if I'm wrong about this, then what is going to happen is that as we open up, it's going to start spreading a lot more, because according to the basic information we've got right now and the accepted best information supposedly, according to that, what's meant to be happening is only about 6 million people have been infected in the UK. Maybe 7 million, let's say 7 million. To get to herd immunity, we need about 60%, which is 39 million. That means we've got 32 million people to be infected before herd immunity supposedly sets in. Of those 32 million people, if the infection fatality rate is 1% or more, 3%, whatever people said it was, is 0.68%? 0.68? 32 million. Let's say it's 0.68%, they reckon, is the infection fatality rate. So it's just under 1% of 32 million, which is another 30,000 at least. Something like that, 30,000? 32 million, 3 million, 300,000. No, it's 3 million, is it? No, 300,000. It's not 300,000, 120,000 or whatever it was. So 120,000 people, because supposedly it's not went out there. It stopped spreading during lockdown. Lockdown was so effective that it just completely stopped. And there's still 120,000 people to be infected. 32 million people to be infected, and about 120,000 of those will die. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's gone through the population mostly. And I think a lot of the people haven't been affected by it at all. And we're going to, this has been my position for about 3-4 months. Because when in Europe, when the peak was reached within the first few weeks and it started to come down, what we've been told before that is it's about flattening the curve, so that the demand in the NHS isn't too great. It wasn't that we were going to stop it, but that we could flatten it. It was still going to spread. It was still going to spread. That changed to, we're going to stop it from spreading. We've stopped it from spreading. Well, if that's the case, then when the countries open up, it's just going to start all over again. But that's not what's happened. It's been spreading. The lockdown has slowed it down potentially. And potentially. The lockdown slowed it down, but it's still been spreading. By the time of lockdown, they reckon there was 1.5 million people that had already been infected. So in So in a space of less than a week or whatever, it went to 1 million people. But the lockdown's been so effective over 4 months that it's only went to 6 million since then, or 7 million. Like, it just seems really unlikely. Maybe it did happen, but it seems unlikely. It seems to be outside of the realm of reality. So these are some of my thoughts. I don't know what your thoughts are. I had a friend recently who said to me about, the vaccine, and they're going to put stuff in you that changes you into a non-human animal, and that means they're going to own you. And I'm like, I don't believe in that stuff. It's not particularly interesting to me. Maybe it's real, but I don't have a lot of time for that. And I know there's people that follow me that you'll say to me, oh, you've just not looked into all this, and this is all about a big conspiracy and all that. Well, I don't know, it's just not the way I want to look at things, and if it's the truth, it's the truth. What can we do about it? If there's something crazy like that happening, what can we do? So, this is where I'm at, some of my thoughts on the old COVID. And I don't know how long this is gonna last. People are wearing masks now, which is okay. It's all funny, it's all weird. It's all funny and it's all weird. People are doing strange things, and what can I say? So, I don't know what you're doing right now. I hope that your lives aren't being too affected by this. This has just been dragging and on and on and on and on. We needed leadership and no one stepped up in terms of our politicians and leaders. When certain doctors and different people tried to come out, they were silenced. And to be fair, some of them should have been silenced, because there was a lot of there was conspiracy theory stuff that was just getting thrown around. But I think there was plenty of people that were saying, listen, there's an alternative view on this. We acted on the absolute worst case scenario, and what we've created is a scenario that's potentially far worse and longer lasting, with some of the damage that's been done. And a lot of the people that supported lockdown are probably going to find themselves out of a job as well, because an economy functions and acts on like things flowing and moving and money moving quickly, and the ability for money to be moved from one place to another, and for there to be supply and demand and products, and that's going to take a while to all build back up. There's a lot of people unemployed. There will be a lot more people unemployed. And we did it for a good reason, like we don't want people to die. But what really happened is we found out we did it to protect 85-year-old white men with pre-existing conditions. You talk about patriarchy and white privilege and all that stuff. Well, really, we mostly protected white men over the age of, or maybe not just white men, but men over the age of 85 have been the most victims. And not that they shouldn't be protected, but they could have been protected without everyone else stopping. I don't get how you couldn't have said, okay, if you're above the age of 85, stay in. Don't go out, don't let anyone visit you. If you get any symptoms, get to the hospital. Everyone else, stay away from older people. It probably would have been more effective. And the thing that happened with the care homes, like people died in care homes, and what are you going to do about that? You can't reverse that. That's another thing, just totally, I don't know. A lot of the deaths have been in care homes. Okay, well, looks like a beautiful day. Certainly not as warm or as sunny as Thailand. Let me know down below what you're up to in your life and how things are. And we'll see you in another video.